Hey there, my name is CK. In my previous video, I showed you guys how to use the stem splitter that comes built in with Logic Pro. It's super quick, it's super easy, and what a powerful, amazing tool. If you happen to miss that video, it's a real quick watch. It's right here. It'll at least get you the basics of how to stem split within Logic. I love the stem splitter so much. Not only is it remarkably convenient just being right here within Logic instead of having to use third-party software or bounce tracks here and there. And it's very beneficial for me and possibly you if you like to do covers. In particular, I like to do drum covers the most, but any sort of cover, vocal, guitar, piano, drums, bass, doesn't matter. The stem splitter is going to be one of your best friends if you use Logic Pro. Now, the point of this video is we're going to take stem splitting to just a slightly, not a big one, but a slightly more advanced use for using it for covers. Instead of just importing the audio file, creating the stems, muting or eliminating the track of the instrument you're performing, we're actually going to sync up the audio file to the project's tempo. And then that gives us the ability to then practice along with a click track. And not only just at the existing tempo, we can change the tempo. We could slow it way down. An example would be that I have some drum covers that are in the works right now that without this stem splitting and the control over the tempo, I would not be able to practice these drum parts as they actually exist. I can't play them near full speed right now. And all the audio stays nice and clear and clean and exactly the same. So if this sounds interesting to you, let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna hop into Logic Pro and get this thing all buttoned down. Per usual, we're gonna start with a clean, empty project. As the previous video stated, we do want to start with making sure that our first track available is a mic or line audio track. We want to make sure that it doesn't have an input, so that way we don't influence it with any mics or cables that are hooked up. And then if you're taking a look at the screen right now, everything else turned off is totally fine. Hit create. We've got this empty track. I like to hit X to pull this window up. We're going to go over here. We're going to import the file, which is one of my tunes, and that is just to skirt around any copyrights out there. I chose the AIF file on purpose instead of a WAV or an MP3. If you were working a cover, and I only did this for this example, that if you come to drag your audio in and you get this prompt right here, that it says it already has tempo information within the song, say yes. Say yes for sure, because if I say import, if you notice, it just went from the default tempo of 120 BPM to 140. I'm going to undo that though real quick. This is typically what would happen if it doesn't even give you that prompt box. It's not going to change the tempo at all right now. So our first step that we have to do in order to get this whole thing synced up, we're going to go to the track that it's on. We're going to go to the effects and plugins. We're going to go to metering, the BPM counter. And I just selected a verse here. And that's typically a good spot where you could just find, typically just find like a good bass tempo, which the tempo of this song is 140. So it's doing a pretty good job. Okay. So you could go with 139.9 beats, but I usually just either round up one way or the other. So what we're going to do now, we no longer need the BPM counter. And I would encourage you to not be influenced by what online forums and posts say the tempo of a song is. Go ahead and find it out for yourself, and then that way you'll actually see in real time the results instead of just trusting what somebody put online. So the next step is we want to change this to 140 beats a minute. So the audio file did just stretch out a little bit, but that's only because our main project actually grew and we need to just extend it a little bit so we have the full song in here. All right, so step one was find our tempo. Step two was change our project tempo. Step three, we are going to double click the audio track. Go ahead and just come over here to Smart Tempo. Click that. It's going to do just a quick analyzation, but it's not the full analyze yet. You need to make sure you do this step. I would recommend just coming over here and just going ahead and turning this off. That's never really benefited me as far as like what I'm trying to show you guys and how to do this. I would recommend keeping this on constant other than variable. Oh, cancel. Constant's great. All right, so with our track selected, the first step that we want to do is come over here to the edits, and we're going to go up here to analyze tempo. Now, it's actually going to study the audio file that we imported, and it's going to go, okay, here are downbeats and here are upbeats, and here's where it understands the tempo of the existing song is. The next thing we want to do is hit this edit button again, and we're going to go apply project tempo to region and downbeat. And this already looks pretty good. You can see right here the waveform increases in size, so that's definitely a dynamic boost where probably my heavy intro, is that where we're at? Yeah, my heavier intro kicks in. Let's go ahead and give it a quick audio preview. I'm going to hit the K button so that way the metronome is on and we can hear what it actually sounds like playing along. And then it's usually good to come to the front too and make sure it picked up there. 1, 2. Yep, that's great. Sometimes you may have done all the steps up to this point and you click anywhere in your timeline and you hit play and you hear this. And all that means is you're either going to have to divide or multiply the number of measures that are within the file that the system read, blah, blah, blah. Either play around hitting X2 or divide 2. And now we're back to... Okay, guess what? Now it's time to split the stems. Do we remember how to do this? We hold down the control button, click on here, stem split, split. Now this stem splitting does take a little bit longer than I showed in the previous video example. And that's because it is applying all this now grounded tempo information to this audio file. And I just like to always make sure that there's a downbeat click throughout the entire song. All right, so it looks like it did it. We're kind of at a stopping point for some of you where you got your song synced up to the tempo. For me, I'm just gonna remove the drums and now I just wanna get going on recording my stuff. That's good. But let's say this is not a complicated song, but let's say it is a super complicated song. All we have to do now is go up to our main BPM and let's do something drastic like 80 beats a minute. Just so you can hear. And now everything is going to be super slowed down, but it's all going to be the exact same tone as the original song. Well, I'm glad that I just get to kind of like real time correct myself. When you slow it down that drastically, yes, you get artifacts. But let me show you, for example, the original song's 140. If we slowed it down to like 125, you shouldn't be able to tell. It totally applies going the other direction. 165. And that's really it. I've done this actually to most of my drum cover songs. I usually will slow it down for practice, and then instead of speeding it up to the existing tempo, for fun, sometimes I go ahead and bump it up about 10 BPM, a little bit more. Either way, you are set now to be able to work on either just song practice, your song cover, or if you just are going to have a remix, now you know exactly how to do that. And I hope this video was helpful. And I will certainly catch you guys in the next one. I believe the next video coming up is how to bus tracks. Yeah, I'll be excited to kind of start diving a little bit more in depth into recording and kind of showing you guys some of the tricks I know. So anyway, I'm CK. Arcane Arrow is my music project. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.